Hey, good afternoon. Hope you're having a good start to the week and everything is going well for all of you. We're going to learn a couple of Rashis on one pasuk in today's Aliyah, the second Aliyah in Parshas Beshalach. When Jewish people are sent by Hashem, taking this particular route, it's not the most direct route to the land of Israel, but it's a circuitous route towards Yam Suf. And Hashem takes them there, and he also predicts, as he does every other time, that Paro's heart will be hardened. Slave Paro. It's the final example of God hardening Paro's heart. He hardens Paro's heart numerous times during the Makos, enabling all the Makos to come to fruition, Yetzias Mitzrayim to come to fruition. Now, finally, one of the end stages of Yetzias Mitzrayim is Kriyas Yam Suf, where once again the Egyptians had to be punished, and therefore wasn't enough that they were actually now out and free and on their way, but they actually had to ensure that the Egyptians would chase after them, that the sea would close on them, and everything that transpires. Why that had to be is, of course, a much larger question. You have to think about what was involved over there, why HaKadosh Baruch Hu intended it this way, specifically for the Egyptians to be punished, and for the Egyptians to be punished in this way at this time. So it's a complicated question. But if you take that as a given for a second, Hashem needed this to happen, and therefore he hardens Paro's heart one more time, not being satisfied with just the relief from the plagues, but being worried about losing his slave population, running after them towards the sea. Then, of course, they get caught between Paro and the sea. They finally catch up to them. They catch them encamped upon the shores of the water. And he comes at them with all of his might, with all of his army. As Paro comes closer, the Jewish people lift their eyes. And two things happen in this pasuk, which I think are very interesting. They lift up their eyes, right? They're focused on the sea, they're focused on each other, whatever they're focused on. They lift up their eyes and they see in the distance the Egyptian army coming at them. Of course, a very traumatic experience. They had just left slavery in Egypt. They thought they were finally the victors. They thought they were finally free. They thought they were never going to have to face their oppressors again. All of a sudden, they're back, and they're back with a vengeance, and they're back in full force, and that's a very uncomfortable position to be in. Therefore, Vayiru me'od, they were very afraid. Vayitzaku b'nei Yisrael Hashem, they start to cry out to Hashem in tefillah. There's two interesting Rashis here. He says, Yinei Mitzrayim nosea achareihem. There's a bit of a grammatical ambiguity here in the pasuk. Mitzrayim is plural. They, the Egyptians in plural, were really nosim achrehem. They were traveling after them. They were chasing them. But the pasuk says it in singular, nosea achrehem, as if the Egyptians are one unit. Rashi says, indeed, they were one unit. Belev echad ki ish echad, with one heart, like one person, like one body, like one unit. There were many, many Egyptians, but they were coming at us in the most unified of manner. This Rashi, of course, is reminiscent of a more famous Rashi saying almost the same thing in Parshas Yisro. When the Jewish people arrive at Har Sinai, the Torah tells us, Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Har. The Jewish people encamped over there by the mountain. It should have said Vayachanu Sham. They, in plural, the many Israelites settled and encamped at the foot of Har Sinai, but it says it in singular. Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Har. Rashi says, why is it in singular? To teach us that it was done ki ish echad belev echad, with like one person with one heart, to show, to display the unity of the Jewish people in this moment, the positive unity of the Jewish people in this moment. So we see in two different examples here in the Torah, contrasting examples, how unity can bring about a certain kind of passion, in the good sense or the bad sense. In the good sense, we see it by Bnei Yisrael at Har Sinai. They were so united, they were so together in this moment that they were able to come to this beautiful scene of Har Sinai and to receive the Torah, come closer to Hashem. They used the unity, they harnessed their unity for the good. Passion for good can create this unified feeling. We see in our parsha the exact opposite. Passion for bad, for evil, for attack can also create unity. Right? Passion around any cause, good, bad, or otherwise, can create unity. When you have a unity of purpose, the people coalesce into one group, to one unit. Unity of purpose in Yisro was Matan Torah. God. Beautiful. So they came together as one. In Beshalach, that unity of purpose, the attack of their enemy, the attack of the Jewish people, the attack of their escaped slaves, getting them back to Egypt, that unity of purpose created a cohesion amongst their group, and the Egyptians also became like one. Also, just think it's a very important point about the nature of life and how we come together in these moments, good, bad, and otherwise, but also just interesting contrast of two very, very different scenes where Rashi uses almost the exact same language. The end of the pasuk is not a surprising Rashi, but a beautiful one, and one which is perhaps one of my favorites. When the Jewish people turn to God in prayer in this moment of distress, Rashi says, "Vayitzaku tafsu umnus avosam." They grabbed hold of the craft of their ancestors. They grabbed hold of the skill of their ancestors. How did Jewish people know to cry out to God? How did the Jewish people know that tefillah, prayer, was called for in this moment of distress, in this moment of trouble? How did they know it? It was in their blood. It was in their DNA, says Rashi. By Avram, we see tefillah. By Yitzchak, we see tefillah. Yaakov, we see tefillah. By the Imahos, we also see tefillah. We see countless examples of prayer by the matriarchs and the patriarchs, and specifically in moments of distress and difficulty, they cry out to God. Therefore, it's not surprising that their descendants were tafsu unos avosam. They grabbed hold of this craft, of this skill, of this insight of their ancestors, and when they were in distress, they reached out in prayer as well. I think it's a beautiful display of the Mitzvah, of the tradition of the Jewish people, and how prayer, despite it being something very, very difficult for us to achieve, including today, how perhaps sometimes we just have to think about it by grabbing hold of the skills of our ancestors. We don't have to be perfect at it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to see ourselves as a link in that chain, continuing that tradition, which was started long, long, long before us. If we do that, then our tefillos can have meaning as well, whether we feel they're the most efficacious or not, the most meaningful to us or not, the most concentrated or not. And there's some meaning to it nonetheless, not only fulfilling your mitzvah and trying to talk to God, but also being part of that chain of tradition. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.